I'll tell you one thing that I noticed that to me has reached the point of some discomfort, to be honest with you. And I'm not accusing here, at least not yet. But do you know what we're talking way too much about? And wait till you hear what Kyle Shanahan said about him today. You know what we're talking way too much about? Brock Purdy getting hurt. Brock Purdy getting hurt.
I don't want that to happen.
I don't think anybody would admit they want it to happen, but some of you want it to happen. But even if you don't want it to happen, and by the way, I feel like that's actually a fact, not an opinion. Some of you want that to happen because in our society, we love drama. People want the drama. They, go back to when Trey Lance broke his ankle last year. That was different than some starting quarterback injuries. Usually in the NFL, your starting quarterback gets hurt, and you look at your buddy or your spouse or your kids or whoever you're watching the game with, and you go, oh, hell, season's over.
Yeah.
They brought the card out for the quarterback. That's a wrap. Of course, last year when that happened for 49er fans, it was not a good thing by any stretch, but there was this, separate emotion. Oh, my God. Jimmy Garoppolo is playing quarterback for the 49ers. Can you freaking believe this?
Wow.
And so there was this gamut of emotions. All right, so flash forward to now. What would you feel if Brock Purdy got hurt week 3? There goes the camera to the sideline.
Who's the camera on?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
That definitely affects the emotions.
But that's kind of what I'm getting at.
Right.
You're right, it affects the emotions, but there are emotions nonetheless.
Sure.
Some people would be excited to see Trey. Some will then be ticked if they don't see Trey.
Right.
Or anything else.
I don't know who would be excited to see Sam. That's where I think the conflict lies, because I don't know how many Sam stands there are out there. Guys who are thinking, Sam Darnold has got to be our number 2 quarterback.
Maybe not, but intrigued.
Sure.
Like the whole thing, I guess that's what it is. Normally in the NFL, you lose a starting quarterback and you're like, well, this isn't interesting. Let's change the channel. Let's go find a different game. I don't want to watch Nathan Peterman play quarterback. I don't want to do that. Who wants to do that? It's why the NFL changed all of these rules. They want their quarterbacks in the game. When we see this stuff, right, you can't look at them funny. You can't land on them.
Yeah.
Don't come near their legs. And don't come near their head either. Try to stay away from their shoulders and their knees also. Here's a little box. It's about a 2x4 box.
Right.
You can hit them right there.
Don't hit them there.
And we call it the wussification of the game, but what it actually is a corporation protecting its most important employees.
Exactly.
That's exactly what it is. So we don't want to watch the backup quarterback. But with the 49ers, we do. With the 49ers, everybody wants to know what's happening on that depth chart. The drama ensues as soon as the, I'm told, inevitable injury takes place. I get all of the stuff that's going on here. Some of it is just what's happened in the past. We've gotten used to.
Yep.
Everybody gets hurt.
5 of 6 years with Shanahan.
Right? So that's a big part of it. There are all the other obvious things. The number 3 overall pick in the draft and the other number 3 overall pick in the draft and all the drama that all of you know. But there are 2 things going on here that I look at and I go, yeah, it gives me the willies. First of all, some of you are rooting for an injury. And the rest of you are assuming that it's coming.
That's the camp that I'm in.
I know you are.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm in neither of those camps.
Right.
I don't know why we would assume that Brock Purdy's going to get hurt just because he's got a 49er jersey.
I think it's because he's already been hurt twice. One time he was able to play through it, and I think it's just the historical nature of the Shanahan era in San Francisco. So I'm simply playing the percentages. I'm not hoping for that to happen, and I don't want to be right when it comes to this topic, but you and I have had this conversation, and if I set the over-under on number of different quarterbacks to start for the 49ers this year, if I put that number at 1.5, most people would take the over. And if I put it at 2.5, I think it becomes an interesting conversation because you might switch quarterbacks because you want to take a look at Trey and you've got a big lead in the division, or Brock gets a minor injury and so Trey starts a game or Sam starts a game, the likelihood to me that you need more than one quarterback is pretty strong with the 49ers. I'm not rooting for that to be the case, but I'm just looking at the historical trend and the historical facts of the Shanahan era.
Part of it is also that Brock Purdy hasn't played a lot of games, right? And so there's also this camp that's like, look, we can't be convinced that he's the guy. Although, did Shanahan give the biggest comment yet? Literally about any of his quarterbacks.
I said in my daily delivery video, you can find it by following us on Twitter at 957thegame.
Whoop.
I said Shanahan compared Brock Purdy to Evander Holyfield.
Did he?
Yeah.
He did?
He did.
How so?
He called him the real deal.
Oh, the real deal.
That's Evander's nickname.
It is.
I thought it was a clever way I could kind of tease that.
It went over my head, and I'm going to put that on me.
Good.
I should have gotten that one.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
Evander, the real deal, Holyfield.
Absolutely.
And Shanahan, reportedly, I haven't heard the sound and stuff, but he reportedly called Brock Purdy the real deal.
He did. He's the real deal.
That's high praise.
It's very. You never said that about anybody else.
Right. I mean,
not with the 49ers.
I don't think he ever called Jimmy G the real deal.
He's not the real deal.
Well, he was a winner.
Yeah. He's not the real deal, though.
No.
He's not.
And the Raiders aren't thinking that he's the real deal.
That's coming from me. Oh, Mr. Jimmy fan.
Super Jimmy fan. Captain Save a Jimmy G, according to Philmo Mike.
He's not the real deal. The real deal. The real deal is reserved for yo, that dude just walked in the room.
So he's not him?
No, it's not him.
Is Brock Purdy him?
I don't know.
Kyle seems to think so.
Well, let me re-answer the question. Is Brock Purdy him? Well, describe him.
Him is you get 4 or 5 or 7 or 8 weeks of not being great, and you keep your job. And there's no worry about you getting the hook. Burrow and Allen, Josh, not Brandon, Mahomes and Herbert, they are him. Aaron Rodgers and even Russell Wilson, is him.
Yeah.
Guys who you're going to play them, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, you would have to do something really, really bad for a very long stretch of games in order to get the hook. Trevor Lawrence is him. He's a quarterback that is going to get a very, very long leash before you even think about giving him the hook.
What if I said that Brock Purdy is one of those guys? Those are the indications.
Right.
We've actually already had the conversation this week. It automatically comes up. How long is the leash for Brock, right?
I love a leash conversation.
It's only been 8 games. So, what if he doesn't look good after 5? What if he doesn't look good after 7? I don't know the answer to the question. I can tell you what it sounds like from Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan, I think, whenever given the opportunity, has clearly stated that Brock Purdy's his quarterback. Period. Now, what's the next question?
Yeah.
But
who's the backup?
Yeah, exactly. No, that'd be great if that was the next question. But I think this whole thing is partially discussed in a way of it's not just who's the backup, it's who's the backup, and that's important because we're pretty sure the backup's coming in at some point, whether it's because of injury or poor play. I hear that assumption across the board. And I'll tell you one thing I'm going to do here before the end of the 2 o'clock hour. I want to extend the conversation we were having yesterday in terms of going through the whole league and talking about all of those hymns. Guys who are absolutely the starter and there's nobody knocking on their door. Okay? And how many of them played all the games? I would argue that it's more than 50%.
Yeah.
And
we kind of went through it yesterday a little bit. And
normalcy would suggest that when you have him, he stays in there, actually. So the assumption that the 49ers, because they're the 49ers, are going to need 2, 3, 4, 5, 28, whatever, how many quarterbacks they need.
Not 5?
I don't think that there's actually a good reason to think that.
Not 5, not 6, not 7.
I think there's a better than average chance that Brock Purdy starts 17 games this year.
Interesting. I wonder if there's a Vegas line or an offshore line on over under on starts, or if there was an odd on, and maybe you could talk to your odds maker friend on what the odds would be for Brock Purdy to start 17 games. I would imagine that having him not start all 17 would be the favorite. Pretty significant favorite. Him starting all 17, I would put it at probably plus 250.
You might be right, but
maybe even plus 300.
But I would say
3-1 odds.
You might be right, but maybe not for the right reasons. Because wouldn't you also agree with this? If you go to the national perspective on Brock Purdy, wouldn't you agree it's not the same as Kyle Shanahan's perspective on Brock Purdy?
Right. It's not.
Wouldn't you agree?
Well, I mean, the Mike Sando quarterback tiers in The Athletic, they had him in tier 4.
Right.
And this is not Mike Sando reaching his hand into a bag and pulling out numbers and assigning them to quarterbacks. He interviews 50 different people, personnel people, scouts, coordinators, and all the rest of it. And everybody votes, and all the votes came in. To your point, he was a tier 4 quarterback. Now, he was at the top of tier 4, but he was tier 4. And Kyle Shanahan sees him as tier 1.
The real deal.
As the guy. So in terms of why he wouldn't start all 17 games, for me, threat number 1 is injury. Threat number 2 would be you're good enough to give him a game off late in the year and let somebody else have a go.
What if I said 16? But what if I changed that to 16? Because that shouldn't really count. Like, the Niners have already clinched the 1 seed, so we benched him.
Yeah.
But anyway, go ahead. Tier 3.
Threat 3 on that would be he's not good enough. So I would order him in that way. The biggest threat to him not starting all 17 is injury. The second biggest threat would be take a game off because we're 11-1 and we're 14-2. And we've clinched the 1 seed, and no one can touch us. We got home field. Go ahead and get in there, Trey. Let's see if we can't showcase you for a game.
Well, it's interesting that we also talk about it in terms of now that we know about it, because we didn't know about it, but we talk about it in terms of, he got injured twice last year. Well, I'd argue no, he didn't, because Josh Allen got hurt. Patrick Mahomes got hurt.
Sure.
But if you play through it, then you didn't get hurt. You didn't get injured. You're not out. He's going to get dinged. It's football. He's totally going to get dinged. I've never had a football player tell me that they knew anybody who made it through a season without getting dinged. I don't care what your position is.
Right. And my favorite cliche is, this time of year, no one's at 100%.
That's true.
So,
it's true. Get to week 15. We're all hurt. Then they are.
I'm reading the quote from Brock himself right now. Quote, I actually broke my rib like the second or third drive in that Tampa game. So that whole first half, man, I'm like throwing and I'm like, this isn't good. We're doing so well. My rib's broken. Still trying to make plays. And then when you end the game, that's when it really starts hurting.
And didn't they win that game like 35-0 or something like that?
Over
Tampa. What was the final score against Tampa? What was the final score last year against Tampa? He embarrassed the GOAT.
Yeah.
Remember that? I'm looking at it here.
He embarrassed the GOAT.
He embarrassed the GOAT.
35-7.
35-7. Bucks got a late GTTD.
He ended up playing against the Seahawks, and they won 21-13. And he was dealing with what the team described as oblique and rib injuries.
Right.
I broke my rib.
Remember, they did not think that he would make it through the entire game. He came out on fire in the first quarter, hit Kittle for a couple of long ones, and then they sort of rode that to a victory late. So, but if you play through it, then you get credit.
It doesn't count. I agree.
Yeah, you get credit for that, in fact.
So he only got hurt once. Fine.
Right. He got knocked out once.
Yeah.
Got knocked out once.
Okay.
Right? But like if I asked it to you this way, because Jalen Hurts was an MVP candidate. Jalen Hurts got to, he did the Garoppolo thing, right? Like he got to within a breath of, he had a second half lead in the Super Bowl. He didn't win it.
It's called a Garoppolo?
Yeah, it's called a Garoppolo. And I know Jalen Hurts was the starter the year before, but he wasn't like a stud. He wasn't Jalen Hurts at the level we look at him now, 1 year, right? Okay, and runs the ball a ton, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so is it more likely that Brock Purdy gets hurt this year than Jalen Hurts?
Interesting way to put that.
Is it?
Well,
because the reason I ask is there's no way in Philly there's all having a conversation right now about the backup quarterback because, if and when Jalen gets hurt. I guarantee you they're not thinking that. And I know that's because the number 3 overall pick isn't right behind Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
But by the same token, it's a mindset. I just think that 49er fans right now have a mindset that no one else in the NFL does.
And maybe it is because of what you're saying. There's a certain faction of fans that are quietly hoping, not for Brock to sustain another 6-month injury, but just get hurt enough to where Trey Lance gets his chance. And that's where I think we're in an interesting spot as a 49er fan base, because I do believe that belief exists in the minds of some.
I kind of jumped on your answer to the previous question. Do you think
you
right?
Come on.
Do you think that Jalen Hurts, Brock Purdy? You look at is one of them more likely to get hurt than the other?
I think they're probably equally susceptible to injury for different reasons. Jalen Hurts, because he's much more of a ball carrier, and I'm looking. He played 15 games the last 2 seasons, and 22-8, pretty good in the regular year. And
he's excellent.
He rushed it 304 times over the last 2 years alone. So because of that, he is susceptible to injury because he runs the ball a lot. I think Brock Purdy is susceptible to injury unless he changes the way he goes about throwing the football. Last year, Mark, in that small sample size, Brock Purdy will hold on to the ball a long time.
That's true.
And when he got hit and he threw that, it wasn't an interception, it was a fumble technically in the NFC Championship game.
Right.
That was a play where he held onto the ball and he was trying to make a play. So because of that, Brock Purdy, I think, is more susceptible to injury than a quarterback who plays more like Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers, a guy who will get down and get out of trouble.
How many times did you say he rushed the ball the last 2 years?
304.
304.
304 for 1544.
$165 of them last year.
Yes. Yeah.
But that's in 15 games.
And he had 139 the year
right?
before in 15 games also.
All right, so that tells me
304 and 30, that's 10 a game.
Yeah, but 165 divided by 15
is 11.
Is 11 a game.
Yeah, thank you. You didn't need to get out your phone. Just
no,
come to your boy.
I did. Yeah, I just want to check. Just want to check.
If you want to have an argument today,
in the day and age of an iPhone, I don't trust my math anymore.
I'm not asking you to trust your math.
I know.
I'm asking you to trust your boy.
No, I don't trust anyone.
And this is where you and I may have a problem today.
Why?
Because trust my math.
I think this station is taking care of its complement of problems today.
I know you are son of a math teacher, but
I think we should just not do that. That's what I'm going to say. But anyway, go ahead. You were saying
165 divided by 15 has always been 11.
11, yes.
I trust Dibs' math.
That's my guy right there.
Oh, wow. I don't know if I like this. I don't know if I like you all getting along.
I'm a little uncomfortable myself, but I'm gonna ride it as long as it lasts.
This is different.
Let's talk track and field.
Let's not. Let's not. But anyway, is there something here? Like, and
no one's ever going to admit that they root for injury.
888-957-9570. Do you hate human beings? Give us a call. No, but for real. In a certain way, if you look at it, let me try to put the prism where it works. Do you want to see Trey Lance play? And if your answer is yes, put that up against Kyle Shanahan going, he's him. Well,
how's he going to play?
How's Trey going to play?
And I think
how are you going to see what you want to see? Transitive property. Are you rooting for just a little ding? Just 1 week? Just a little twist?
Yeah. Little flare up, little pull.
The kids.
Totally.
Just a little something.
Just a hammy.
I'm not trying to put
anybody. Not even
like
a Joe Burrow, oh my God, my calf.
Well, that, yeah.
You know.
Nobody wants anybody limping like that where you just have to fall.
On a non-contact.
Here comes the cart. Yeah, none of that.
And something you said earlier, is there another team out there where there's a portion of the fan base clamoring for the backup? Even in Pittsburgh, if you're a Mitch Trubisky fan or you love Mason Rudolph, is anybody in Pittsburgh actually rooting against Kenny Pickett so that they can get their guy in there?
Of course not. And by the way, traditionally, has anyone ever rooted for the backup on August 3rd? The starter hasn't done anything wrong yet. Who does that?
Yeah.
Who roots for the backup the first week of August? You can't even be mad at your starter yet. Rooting for the backup is something you do week 6.
Or halftime of week 1.
Well,
depending on your situation.
Right. I mean, my gosh, that's actually a funny comment with what I heard in line at the food line in Chicago week 1 last year.
They wanted Fields out already.
He sucks. He's a bust. We screwed it up. I can't believe it. Justin Fields. Right? It sounded like the Saturday Night Live characters.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he sucks.
All
That whole thing was
yeah.
happening. Halftime of week 1. And now, number 4 quarterback in fantasy drafts. I mean, that's how it changes, and so I understand that.
I think the other interesting piece of it is even if that conversation exists, the fact that it exists on a team that is the favorite to win the NFC makes it even more alarming. Because if you were, let's just pick on the Raiders while we have a moment.
I'm always in favor.
So if you're the Raiders and you're not expected to have a good year and you are clamoring for the backup because you don't like Jimmy Garoppolo, well, you can do that because your team is probably not much of a threat to be a playoff team this year. So by stinking, that might actually help you in draft position the following year. But the 49ers are a team that has won 10 consecutive games in the regular season. They've won 12 of their last 13 overall, and they are among the 1 or 2 favorites to win the NFC. They are a Super Bowl threat like Buffalo, Kansas City, Philadelphia, Cincinnati, and the Niners. That would be your top 5, right?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
If you want a top 5,
Consensus Vegas Insider.
That's your top 5.
You want to have some
odds
fun?
wise?
You see if you can get them in order?
In order?
In order.
Grandy, my best friend, if you wouldn't mind.
Top 5.
Game show music, please.
Top 5. Answers on the board.
Grandy, you complete me.
I hate this. Anyway.
Oh, ding, 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 ding. In order?
In order.
Kansas City's got to be number 1.
Number 1.
You can buzz me if I'm wrong, too, Mark. I won't hold it against you. And I meant Mark Grandy and not you, Willard.
Mark with a C?
Yeah, well, the only Mark now. You'll go by Willard heretofore.
Wow.
Number 2 has got to be. This is where it gets tough because it's a bit of a dog pile here, but I'm going to say it's Buffalo.
I'm sorry.
Give it to me gently, Grandy.
That
Thank
is
you.
an incorrect answer.
Is it Philadelphia?
It's Philadelphia Eagles.
Then Buffalo.
Then Buffalo.
Then the Dirty Natty. Probably the Niners, then the Dirty Natty. They're tied.
What's your answer? What's your answer?
The Bears. Oh, no, the Niners would be ahead of the Dirty Natty.
It is actually by just a nose hair. It is the 49ers.
Appreciate nose hair.
The Bengals are actually at the same consensus odds, but when you then run that out over all the casinos,
Okay.
the 49ers have the tiebreaker, if you will. They are the technical 4th favorite right now to win the bowl. The Bengals are 5th.
And we're on to Cincinnati.
Extra
Thank you.
points if you can get who's number 6. Extra points.
Man.
Bonus points.
It's got to be an AFC team. Not the Jets. Not Detroit yet.
Detroit's not in the AFC. Breaking news.
No.
You said it's got to be an AFC team. Let's see. Not the Lions.
No, I know.
Right, not the Lions. They're not in the AFC.
Don't try to drive a wedge between me and my happiness. I'm in a fantastic mood
literally
today.
the only thing I'm trying to do today.
How about Miami, Mark, in the 6th spot?
No, not even close.
The Jets. Jets. Jets.
Nope.
Grandy. One buzz was
Keep
good.
them going. Keep them going, Grandy.
I'm trying to fight through it, Grandy.
Come on.
No, I'm out of guesses, Mark.
How about them Cowboys?
They
about
hate
them
their quarterback.
Dallas Cowboys?
Have you been following the news?
Yes.
Like
How about
they've been cussing out their quarterback. They've been screaming at Dak in August.
You just asked me a question that only my parents have asked me in the last 7 years.
Mark, are you following the news?
Have you seen the news? They say it's going to rain. Oh, okay.
Give you a 4 for your Ellen.
Just like I hate doing the voice while she's in a hospital bed. But love you, Mom. I hope she's listening. Maybe we can bring you 4 hours of fun. Yeah, there you have it. There you have it. That got uncomfortable, but anyway, rounding out your top 5 or top 10. Yes, it goes Cowboys, Jets, Ravens, Lions, Chargers.
Okay.
And then the Dolphins.
And the Dolphins,
and
okay.
in the 11 hole.
Man, all right.
Outside looking in.